Crossovers, a catalyst for effective business planning. In this video, we're going to look first at what is a business plan, why is it so important for starting up a creative enterprise, what are the options for different parts and the content of the business plan, and then finally we will be looking at some crossovers between arts, culture, creative industries, and then other sectors, and what crossover means and why is it so important. So to start with, a business plan is a document which could be done for an existing enterprise or for a startup company. Here we're going to concentrate on the second option, which is a business planning for an emerging creative enterprise. This document is a kind of a vector for development and it covers several areas, but before we go to that, let's see the different viewpoints. Who is reading this document and how we should elaborate it from 4 different viewpoints. The first viewpoint is the entrepreneur. The business plan has to be written in a way that it fits to our own idea and it elaborates very well what are the steps we need to undertake to make this idea happen and to transform the idea into innovation and respectively after that into a business model and then into putting it on the marketplace. The second viewpoint is the one of the customer or the client, because business planning is a process which has to be done from the viewpoint of the potential clients and customers, why they would be really motivated to buy the product or to use the service. The third viewpoint is the one of the investor, a very important viewpoint because majority of business plans are done exactly because of the reasons of finding external financing, either from debt instruments, either from debt financing or equity financing, but they have to show very clearly what is the motivation of an external investor to invest in the business, or what is the motivation of a bank, why the bank, and how the bank would give us the necessary funding. And then the fourth viewpoint is the one of the potential partner, stakeholder, who would like to be not just financial stakeholder, but to support us in any other way. So when we elaborate business plan, we have to consider these 4 different viewpoints. There are different types of business plans, and a business plan could be just 2 pages, but could be also 20 or 50 pages of a document. It's important in the business plan to cover 4 main parts. The first one is the introductory part, which usually consists of the executive summary, as well as elaboration of the main concept of the new business venture. So we have to be very clear about what is the uniqueness, what is the competitive advantage, what are the mission, vision, and the main strategic goals of our new enterprise. The second part of the business plan is mainly related to results of analysis, and this analysis is external macro and micro analysis connected with what are our potential audiences, clients, customers, also what is the competition, the direct and indirect one, as well as how the political, economic, social and technological factors of the external environment could influence our business in the minimum next 3 years to come. The fourth part is mainly the conceptual part, where we have to be very clear about what is our idea and how this idea is positioned within a context, and to make it clear how this idea really contributes to the development of the arts culture sector in a specific area. And again, what is the uniqueness and what is the innovation point behind. And the final part, which is also very important, is all the operational angles of the business plan. How do we really envisage managing the people? How do we envisage managing the market? And also, what are the financials behind it? A very important part of the business plan here is to elaborate the 3 financial statements: the cash flow, the income statement, and also the balance sheet. We usually do it in business planning for 3 years because after 3 years it's very hard to predict the statistical and other indicators. So once when we know the general structure and content of the business plan, let's see in the last part of this video what are the crossovers between arts, culture, creative industries and other sectors, and why and how they might be a potential for elaboration of a new innovative idea. So when we say the word crossovers, it has several different connotations. One of them could be the connection between the different branches of creative industries. For example, connection between fashion and opera, connection between music and gaming industry, or others. The beauty of creative industry branches, which actually is mentioned very little in the literature, is that they're very much connected. So that, for example, Harry Potter starts from a book, but then it goes into the videos, into the film industry, into the fashion industry, into the whole merchandising area around this specific character. And there are many examples like that the cross connections between different branches of creative industries are the one where actually the innovation point is, and we can start a new entrepreneurial idea. The second way, the second angle of crossovers is between culture and business development, also research, education, as well as technological sector. And here we can see three types of organizations. One are incubators, second accelerators, and the third creative clusters. What is the difference between them? Incubators are usually helping startup companies within an existing educational institution. They aim at longer development, hatching a product for 3 or 4 years, and they're usually not for profit. While accelerators usually help for startup entrepreneurs with coaching, also education as well as mentoring, but they're for much shorter period, and many of them also are elaborated as business ventures, so that the entrepreneurs have help from someone, but these investors are looking at a stake in the future business. Creative clusters are usually connection between several organizations of different types, and they aim at synergy in their resources and the way how they do things. So such kind of creative clusters are a great concept and a way how we can explore the local resources. And finally, I would like to stress on the fact that crossovers have an effect on the way how we position arts, culture and creative industries in the contemporary society, especially related also to the city planning. Because nowadays we're looking at integrated approach towards the municipal and city planning, where arts and culture plans are not isolated area, but they're very much connected with others, with the plans for environment, plans for education, plans for economic development, for social services and so on. So from this perspective, all these crossovers and what we do as creative and cultural entrepreneurs contributes definitely to the whole notion and concept of a creative city and creative placemaking, which means the way how we would like to position arts and culture as catalyst for the local development, and also looking at all the spillover effects, what is happening if we elaborate a great business idea in the arts, how this new venture is really going beyond the arts and culture sector and influence other sectors like hotel chains, businesses around, and so on. For example, the idea for developing a new creative part of the city, or transforming an abandoned factory into a new cultural center, or a new creative cluster are the ways how we can make our cities much happier to live in and to work in. And this is the whole idea of why do we need to really motivate and boost creative and cultural entrepreneurship as city makers, city planners, and city developers. Thanks very much for listening this course. I hope active listening. And I do encourage you to look at all the online resources that are connected with that. And hopefully at the end of all, we are going to successfully pass through also the test which we have prepared for you. Thanks very much once again, and be wonderful creative entrepreneurs in the future.